Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. I am so excited for today's guest. She was a visionary who was arguably decades, if not a century, ahead of her time. For those who may somehow not know who you are, who are you?
Hello, Calvin. I am Hilma of Klint. Many now know me as an artist who explored the abstract and the spiritual, though in my time, I worked very quietly on the things that mattered most to my soul.
We are honoured to have you. Let's start at the very beginning. When and where were you born?
I was born on October 26, 1862. I came into the world at Karlberg Palace in Solna, Sweden. It was a beautiful place to start a life.
What was your given name at birth?
My full name given to me was Hilma Alfhild af Klint.
What was your hometown like growing up?
Growing up in and around Stockholm and at our family's summer manor, Hanmora, on the island of Adelsö, was wonderful. I was surrounded by the beauty of the Swedish landscape, the water, the trees, and the light. It gave me a deep love for nature that stayed with me forever.
What was your family life like?
My family had a strong naval tradition. My father, Victor af Klint, was an admiral. We were a family that valued education and discipline, but also the sciences. I was very close to my family, especially my sister Hermina.
What kind of kid were you?
I was very observant and quite studious. I had a great curiosity about the natural world around me. I loved to draw plants and animals with great precision. I suppose you could say I was a bit of a seeker, even as a young girl.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
I always knew I wanted to be an artist. In Sweden at that time, women were actually allowed to study art, which was a blessing. I dreamed of capturing the essence of life on canvas, though I didn't yet know how far that dream would take me into the invisible worlds.
What were some of your favourite activities in school?
I excelled in mathematics and botany. I loved the structure of math and the intricate details of plants. These two interests, the logical and the organic, eventually merged in my later paintings.
What was your first job?
After I graduated from the Royal Academy of Fine Arts in Stockholm, I worked as a professional artist. I painted landscapes and portraits to support myself. It was a very respectable way to make a living.
Was there a moment where you realised you were different from everyone else?
It was after the passing of my sister, Hermina. It opened a door in my heart and mind toward the spiritual realm. I realized that the physical world we see with our eyes is only a small part of reality. I began to seek out the high masters through spiritualist circles.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Joining a group called The Five, DeFem. We were 5 women who met regularly to pray, meditate, and practice automatic drawing. What started as small private meetings led to the moment I was commissioned by a spirit named Amaliel to create my greatest works.
What was your biggest break?
In the traditional sense, my break didn't happen during my lifetime. But for me, the break was the moment I accepted the task to paint the paintings for the temple. It was a massive undertaking, 193 paintings. It gave my life a divine purpose.
What were your biggest struggles before that spiritual success?
Trying to balance the art that people wanted to buy, the pretty landscapes, with the art I felt commanded to create. It was a struggle to find the time and the resources to dedicate myself to the spiritual work while keeping my place in the world.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel were essential to your success?
Meditation and prayer were the foundation of everything. I had to keep my vessel clean, so to speak, to receive the messages. I also kept meticulous notebooks, thousands of pages, to document every vision and meaning.
What was your life like before fame?
It was a life of quiet dedication. I lived with my mother for many years and then later with friends. I was part of the Theosophical Society and the Anthroposophical Society. It was a life filled with study, art, and deep friendship.
What was the downside of the path you chose?
The isolation of knowing that the world wasn't ready for what I was creating. I showed my abstract works to Rudolf Steiner, a man I respected deeply, and he didn't quite understand them. That was difficult, but it led me to the decision to hide my work away.
What's something people misunderstood about your life?
People might think I was crazy for talking to spirits, but to me, it was very scientific. I was mapping the soul the way my father mapped the seas.
Tell me about a time when everything went wrong and how did you handle it?
There were times when the spiritual messages were overwhelming or confusing. I handled it by returning to nature. I would go to the islands, look at the plants, and find my center again. I trusted that the meaning would reveal itself in time.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
My father taught me the precision of a map maker, but the high masters like Gregor and Amaliel guided my hand. And of course, the other women in the five. We supported each other when no one else knew what we were doing.
What was life like in your final years?
I moved to a small house built by my cousin in Munsa. It was very peaceful. I spent my time organizing my thousands of sketches and notes, ensuring that everything was cataloged for the future.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
I was mostly focused on my legacy, not for my own name, but for the work. I was making sure that my nephew Eric understood the instructions for my paintings.
When and where did you pass away?
I passed away in October 1944 in Sweden following a secondary physical complication from a traffic accident.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I was a vegetarian. I felt that keeping a pure diet helped me stay connected to the higher vibrations I needed for my work.
What was your favorite food?
I enjoyed very simple, wholesome foods from the earth: porridge, fresh fruits, and vegetables.
What was your favorite book?
I read many spiritual and philosophical texts. The Secret Doctrine by H.P. Blavatsky was very important to my understanding of the world.
Tell us a story nobody talks about.
I once designed a circular temple specifically to house my paintings. I saw it clearly in my mind. A spiral building where people could walk upward and experience the evolution of the spirit through the colors. It was a dream I kept in my heart.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Do not look for approval from your own time. Sometimes you are planting seeds for a garden you will never sit in. Work with sincerity, listen to your inner voice, and trust that if your work comes from a place of truth, it will eventually find its home.
Thank you, Hilma. It was truly a pleasure. What an incredible look into the mind of a true pioneer. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.